address some of the hyperbole around the big, beautiful bill? Just a little bit. If there is anything in the big, beautiful bill to worry about, it is the increase in spending, because the spending ourselves into oblivion is an actual threat to the country. But that's not what anybody is talking about. What everybody seems to be talking about is the tax cuts, which were already there, or the tax cuts like no tax for tips, which you would think the party of the little people, the Democrats, would all be for, but they're not, because they're not party of the little people anymore. And those had to be offset. Okay. Offset by what? Well, by cutting spending. But cutting what spending? Not cutting spending. Let me just say this. If I said, I made $250,000 a year, and this year we were going to spend $300,000, okay? And you would say immediately, Glenn, you can't do that. And I would say, I've been doing that for 30 years. Okay. You might say, bank's not going to give you a loan. But then if I came to you and I said, yeah, I'm spending $300,000 a year, and my wife and I make $250,000 or $200,000 a year. But next year I was going to spend $500,000. Did you get a raise? No, I didn't get a raise. I still make $200,000 a year between my wife and I. But I'm going to spend $500,000 and not $300,000. And then somebody came in, like an accountant with, some muscle, and they said, Glenn, you cannot spend $500,000 a year. Would it make sense if I went back to spending $300,000, not $200,000, which I had, but $300,000, which I had been spending every year? Would it make sense to you for me to say, my children are now going to starve? My children are now going to starve. Look at the austerity program that I am on. My gosh, they just cut. No, they didn't cut anything. They cut the increase in spending. That's what they cut. And Stu, could you please explain Medicare? I mean, all of the people, I know they warned us. I didn't believe the death squads would actually go out and, they want these people off Medicare so badly, or Medicaid, that they just sent out death squads. Trump's not waiting for them to die because they can't get their prescriptions now. He's just having them slaughtered in the streets.
Yeah, that's the efficiency of the Trump administration.
Sure.
He wants these people dead so badly, he's just killing them in the streets.
Right.
No, actually, none of that's happening. And the Medicaid cuts are, as you point out, largely cuts to future increases that have not occurred. The biggest chunk of this is the work requirements. You've heard this, Glenn. And I went through this and I was like, this can't possibly be what they mean, right? Like I was like, wait a minute. When they say work requirement cuts, what does that mean? So I dove into it a little bit. And basically what they are saying is if you are an able-bodied adult, so that does not include old people, does not include people who are sick and cannot work. And it also does not include people who have small children, even if they are able-bodied. And when I say small, I mean 12 and under. So if you have a 12-year-old, you're completely exempt from this. But able-bodied adults who...
Okay, so people in wheelchairs.
No.
With babies
again,
who
I know
are still
this is
nursing
tough.
at home.
Yeah, this is where it gets
I'm
difficult.
having a hard time following this. Wait, what now?
So you're an able-bodied adult that does not have small children.
No small children
would be required to get Medicaid to work 20 hours a week. Now you might
20 hours a week
or 80 hours a month.
Or 80 hours a month. That is that's almost half a full-time job.
Now you might say to yourself, and this is actually true, some people can't get jobs, right? I'm sure there are people that are trying to get even part-time jobs and maybe can't get them. And those people are just going to lose their Medicaid? Well, as you might understand, of course not. Because what you have to do then is go through a process where you're basically telling them, you're attempting to get a job, or you are volunteering somewhere to meet that requirement. So basically, you have to fill out at the very least, it's like unemployment. You have to at least fill out some paperwork here.
So it's the exact opposite. Let me see if I have this right. It's the exact opposite of unemployment, which we've had forever, where if you're looking for a job but you can't get one, you can still get unemployment. But it's the exact opposite, right?
No.
Especially if you're nursing sextuplets.
No, again, you're not very
then
close
you're
to the
definitely
truth.
out.
You're a little bit off on this one. And by the way, Glenn, you might say to yourself, well, wait, how is that a Medicaid cut? Because they're not cutting anyone's eligibility here unless they don't want to meet the requirement. Now, of course, there's always been requirements to all of these programs. So meeting the requirements has always been part of getting onto Medicaid. But this requirement, if you decide basically to not do it and not participate and not fill out the paperwork, then yes, you will lose your Medicaid coverage. What they're saying is they believe.
Okay, all right. Okay, no, I just want to make sure I have it right. So what they're saying is, if you are blind, you're deaf, you have no friends, and you can't get out of the house, and you've been on Medicaid somehow or another, you signed up for that, but now you don't even know because you can't hear the news. You certainly can't fill out a form because you have no eyes. They just come in and rip your Medicaid away?
No, none of what you said is accurate. Though it is calm considering to some of the accusations, comparing it to some of the accusations made by the left right now. But yeah, I mean, if you are an able-bodied adult that decides, I don't feel like filling out the paperwork, or I don't feel like going to job interviews, or I don't feel like volunteering. Then yes, you could lose your case. But that's what they're saying the cuts are. They think $317 billion worth of people will not bother doing those things for whatever reason. Maybe because they have more money than they said. Maybe because they're lazy. Maybe because I'm sure there's some case where I don't know. I can't think of the case because the ailments are covered here. But yes, maybe it's, I don't know, some particular skin color. Then they would reject you. I don't know. But Glenn, and it's not just that. There are other cuts. For example, some of the cuts they are eliminating duplicate Medicaid enrollment. So if you happen to have Medicaid,
I can't double dip.
If you happen to have Medicaid,
are you saying
in two different states, they are going to try to stop you from having it in two states, and instead make you have it in one state.
Hold it just a second. I have two legs. I have two arms. I have two eyes. I have two nostrils. I have two ears. I can't have two Medicaid coverages.
I know.
That's insane.
It's really, really brutal.
I have two kidneys. I can only have one kidney now. Repaired? Now, is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying, but yes, I'm sure that's what's being reported out there by Dana Bash. Another one I will give you here, Glenn. They talked about immigrants. Immigrants are getting all their Medicaid cut, and this is tough. Now, what this bill does, I want you to hold on to your hat here, Glenn.
Okay.
There is if you have green card holders and other certain immigrants, some will lose their coverage. Eligibility will retain for those people. Certain other immigrants may lose their coverage. The current law says all who are lawfully present. That will kick in after how many year waiting period? Let me give you, let me guess. It's a 5-year waiting period. So it will be the next president who has to deal with this when some future Congress will just put it right back in, and it's not a savings at all. Then you have Medicaid death checks. They're going to require...
They're checking on whether you're dead? Yeah. Look at this. It's crazy.
It's brutal. It really is.
You're going to kick all of the immigrants off in 5 years, and then you're checking to see if old people and eyeless people are dead. When will you leave these people alone?
I know. So anyway, we could go through this stuff all day. But as you point out, most of this stuff is not at all what the left is saying it is. It is not these desperate Medicaid cuts that are going to ruin everybody's lives. A lot of them are just really common sense stuff like making sure you don't have it in two states. I don't know what the positive argument is for that. But they'll make it.
Well, they don't have one. That's why they don't make it about that.